Hello, and welcome to Lesson 2 of Reddit Russian 101. This week's lesson will focus on greetings, introductions, and other common everyday Russian phrases. Let's get started. First of all, you have to understand who you're speaking to when you're speaking in Russian. Russian has two levels of formality, formal and informal. There are two different words for you in Russian, ты and вы. This is different from English where there is only one you, but it's similar to Spanish with tú and usted. Use ты, the informal you, when addressing your close friends and family. Use the formal вы when talking in more formal situations, at work, with people who you don't know as well, your acquaintances, your elders, etc. Also, when addressing more than one person, in essence saying you all, use вы. Also, if you're not sure which to use, always use вы until the person you're speaking to tells you to use ты or addresses you with ты. Many words have endings corresponding to the level of formality. To say hello in Russian, you say здравствуйте. 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 Note that the first v is silent. This is the formal version. The informal version lacks the te at the end, so it's just здравствуй. Здравствуй. Also, when saying it fast, sometimes you can almost make it sound like здрасте. This is pretty informal. Another informal greeting is привет. 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 This translates approximately to hi. Some other common greetings in Russian are good morning, доброе утро. Доброе утро. Good afternoon, добрый день. Добрый день. And good evening. Добрый вечер. Добрый вечер. These do not change based on who you're speaking to. Some more greetings are as follows. Как дела is an informal way to say how are you. Как дела. This literally translates to how are things. A more formal way to say the same is как поживаете. Как поживаете, which literally translates to how are you living. Как поживаете. Some responses to these questions can be seen on the next slide. Хорошо. 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 This means good or fine. Нормально. 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 This means normal. Ничего. 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 This means okay or not bad. It literally translates to nothing. Note that it's not ничего, it's ничего. The g, that's the next to the last letter, has a v sound. This is true for some words in Russian ending in g or. They're pronounced as vo. А у вас, а у вас, а у тебя, а у тебя. Both of these mean and you, but the first one is the formal version and the second is the informal version. Here are some ways to say goodbye when you are finished talking to someone. До свидания. До свидания. До свидания. This means goodbye, but can literally be translated to until our next meeting or until we meet again. This works in all situations. A less formal way of saying goodbye is пока. Пока. This can be loosely translated to bye, but it literally means while. This is pretty informal. You might also want to add всего хорошего. Всего хорошего. This means all the best. Note that the g in всего again has a v sound. To ask for someone's name, you say как вас зовут? Как вас зовут? This means what's your name, but literally translates to what do they call you? Note that you're using the formal you because strangers are always addressed with the formal. To reply to this question, you say Меня зовут and then say your name. Меня зовут. Again, this literally translates to they call me blank. To introduce someone else, you say это and then their name. This means this is. After exchanging names, it is customary to say something along the lines of Очень приятно. Очень приятно. This means nice to meet you, or literally means very pleasant. A response to this is Мне тоже. Мне тоже, which means me too, or likewise. There are certain things that you can say when addressing strangers as well. Males are often addressed as молодой человек. Молодой человек. This means young man, or literally young person. Females are often addressed as девушка, or miss. Девушка. While these may be widely used, it can be pretty obvious they may not always be appropriate. When they are not, some other neutral phrases can be used, such as Простите, пожалуйста. Простите, пожалуйста. This means excuse me please, or pardon me please. Скажите, пожалуйста. Скажите, пожалуйста. This means tell me please. And будьте добры. Будьте добры, or be so kind. Again, just a reminder, strangers are always addressed in the formal you. Russian names can be a bit complicated. First things first, both men and women have a proper first name. This is no different than you are used to. However, the middle name for both men and women is their father's name, usually with the ending ovich for men, or ovna for women. This signifies son of, or daughter of, respectively. The last name is the family name. In fact, in Russian, the word for last name is familia. This differs between men and women. If a male last name has the ending ov, then the female version of that last name has the ending ova. If the male last name ends in I, then the female ends in aya, and so on. For the most part, there are some other alterations, but for the most part, the letter A is added to the end. So the two example names here are Mikhail Nikolaevich Ivanov and Anna Vladimirovna Ivanova. In this case, Mikhail's father's name is Nikolai and Anna's father's name is Vladimir. Even though they are, let's say, married and would have the same last name in America, here Mikhail's last name is Ivanov and Anna's is Ivanova. Russians very frequently address each other using the first and middle name, especially when on formal terms, but informally as well. The equivalent of Mr. is господин, господин. But you will very rarely hear someone address, for example, Putin as господин Putin. This will only happen in extremely formal government proceedings. People will address him as Vladimir Vladimirovich, which is his first and middle name. And this is formal. Only when you are very familiar with someone should you address them by their first name only, and even then, both the first and middle are still often used as a sign of respect. Russian names also have a lot of diminutive versions, such as Volodya, for example, for Vladimir, but I won't go into these. Now, time for an exercise. I will read a very simple, short conversation between two people in Russian, and you are to write it in English. Everything here has been covered in today's lesson, but try to do it without looking back at the slides if you can. Ready? Привет, Борис. Добрый вечер, Светлана. Как дела? Ничего. А у тебя? Все хорошо. Это Андрей Петрович. Здравствуйте. Очень приятно. Мне тоже. Пока, Борис. До свидания, Андрей Петрович. Пока. Всего хорошего. Here's a transcribed conversation. Alright, that's it for today, guys. Stay tuned for lesson 3 soon.